Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We are on Love 99.5 FM in over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Kekeli Radio, Swiss FM and Volta Premier all in Ho. We are on Ridge FM in Tamale, ATL FM in Cape Coast, also on Pad FM in Dalmango. We are live on Twitter Spaces. We are on Facebook and also on my joyonline.com interactive app. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and what's a tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. This afternoon, Ghana demands experience, not experiment. Former President John Mahama as he officially launches his campaign in a bid for re-election.
I've not taken this step lightly. It has been the product of months of prayer, broad consultation, and sober reflection. I've searched my soul and placed close attention to your voices, to your daily struggles, and to our present national predicament.
We have more as he says the country is at a crossroad that requires bold and decisive leadership to rescue the country from what he calls the clueless NPP government.
The unthinkable has happened, and our country today is broken on all fronts. Ghana is bankrupt.
Meanwhile, the OT regional chairman of the NDC is questioning the real motive behind the presidential ambitions of Dr. Kwabena Dufo Kujobonsu and the others.
I'm wondering why the Ashantis are so eager to become president and others when they are not doing their homework well. Charity begins at home. Go there and win the seat for us before we can think about you. But if you don't do it and you are showing your face, you are just giving us troubles.
We're live in Ho. Also, MP for Tamale North worried schools in his constituency may be closed due to an outbreak of measles and a shortage of vaccines.
We are seeing a retrogression in the gains that we have made over the years as far as the eradication of measles is concerned. And if care is not taken and this addressed aggressively, we may see the shutting down of schools, very soon.
We have details of that. Also, Majority Leader accuses minority of peddling falsehood and throwing dust into the eyes of the public as the controversy over the ECCI rages on.
Every single one of them has been opposed by the NDC. Why? What explains this? Anytime we want to improve the system, to sanitize the system, the Electoral Commission is saying that they admit that their own system is not foolproof.
We have sports.
Coach Slavko Matic is unlikely to be on the touchline when Heart of Folk welcome Asante Kotoko on Sunday. We'll tell you why in 20 minutes.
For our Ghana Man series today, we'll take you to the princess town of Akateche in the western region to meet the priest who communicates with crocodiles.
There she is. But finally, bingo! Chicken dinner.
And when exactly are we to expect another hit song from musician Gas Miller?
For me, I don't feel limited at all. I just feel that it's just a matter of time and I just have to keep on doing what I know how to do best. And definitely I'll strike gold again.
3 points.
This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please stay for details. I am Emefa Apawu. We're digging now in Ghana demands experience, not experiment. Those are the words of former President John Dramani Mahama as he officially joins the NDC presidential race. Addressing members of the party at the University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta regional capital, Ho, the former president said the country is at a crossroad and requires a bold and decisive leadership capable of rescuing the country from what he describes as a clueless NPP government.
I have officially joined the race to contest for the flag bearer slot of the National Democratic Congress. For the 2024 elections, which I consider to be the most important and defining poll of our time, I've not taken this step lightly. It has been the product of months of prayer, broad consultation, and sober reflection. I've searched my soul and placed close attention to your voices, to your daily struggles, and to our present national predicament. At this stage, Ghana demands experience, not experiments. Ghana demands togetherness and not divisiveness. Now is the time for bravery of heart and clarity of purpose. 6 years ago, despite our best efforts, the people of Ghana decided to entrust the management and administration of this country into the hands of the NPP. They did so in the hope that the many mouth-watering promises that were made to them would translate into meaningful action that will mark an improvement in their living conditions and the general well-being of our country. My brothers and sisters, 6 years on, those hopes have been dashed. Instead of the prosperity and progress that was promised, the last 6 years have been perhaps the most difficult and challenging period of our history as a country. This government has been clueless and in many ways callous.
Describing the country as broke, the former president accused the government of acting in bad faith in the domestic debt exchange program.
The unthinkable has happened, and our country today is broken on all fronts. Ghana is bankrupt. We are saddled with debts we simply cannot pay, and we have suffered the global humiliation of defaulting on our debts and being downgraded by all credit rating agencies to the lowest level ever seen in our history. Our economy is in the worst ever shape, with suffering and pain on an unprecedented level. Hyperinflation and ever-increasing price of basic items, including food products, have all combined to inflict unbearable pain on millions of Ghanaian households. Parents are being forced to make the choice between seeking prompt health care for their sick children or providing meals with their meager resources for their families. Our middle class stands the real risk of being wiped out on the back of an obnoxious debt restructuring program.
Well, let me take you live to Sokode, the premises of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, from where my colleague Fred Kwame Asare joins us. Fred, now we know that the former president has been talking about the size of government and the payment of ex gratia in terms of what he would do when he's elected. To walk us through it.
Yeah, so he has been speaking about a lot of things this afternoon, I should say. He mentioned that he had studied the terrain over the years, and then that Ghana's state of affairs troubles him a lot. He also indicated that he believes he is the kind of president that Ghanaians are looking for, indicating that Ghana needs an experienced leader, not one who would come and do experiments with the country. He mentioned that he's also tax ready to heal the country, restore stability and inclusive growth. Among all this, he indicated that he would enforce prudent measures to restore faith in the almost collapsed financial system, which includes running a system member executive and also scrubbing off the ex gratia.
The payment of ex gratia to members of the executive under Article 71 will be scrapped. And the necessary constitutional steps to abolish that payment will start in earnest in 2025. We will also begin the process of persuading the other arms of government other than the executive to accept the removal of these ex gratia payments. Issues pertaining to the excessive powers of the president, proper separation of powers, strengthening of parliament, restoring the independence of the judiciary, independent and quasi-independent state institutions, and depoliticizing them will take center stage of the new administration.
That's former President John Dramani Mahama there. Now the Oti Regional Chairman of the NDC, who is also the Dean of Regional Chairpersons, John Kojo Japong, is questioning the real motive behind the presidential ambition of hopefuls Dr. Kwabena Dufo and others.
The next person is also a brother from Kumau. Oh, Dr. Dufo, have you won your seat before? Charity begins at home. Have you won it before? Who should do the monkey job for you to become a president of this country? And he's also my brother. I am an Ashanti, you know, Dufo. He's from Kumau. You have never won it. Never have you won the regional chairman. So you see, the campaign, after I finish with them, the campaign is finished. You don't waste your time. Let's come to Kwajo Bonsu or Zebonsu. He is from Offenso. I'm wondering why the Ashantis are so eager to become president when they are not doing their homework well. But it's a good brain, you know. The three of them can win the 3 seats for us. Charity begins at home. Go there and win the seat for us before we can think about you. But if you don't do it and you are showing your face, you are just giving us troubles. Ladies and gentlemen, NDC respects hard work. We respect commitment. We also respect loyalty.
That's John Kojo-Japong. Well, in the Volta region, support for the former president is huge. It appears there's massive endorsement from the rank and file of the party. Some MPs in the region have already thrown their weight behind him as well. Member of Parliament for North Tong, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa and Jifago Mashia predicting a landslide victory for John Mahama.
We consider ourselves a World Bank. The fact speaks for itself. Our electoral performance speaks for itself. We have been very, very consistent. We only slipped in one constituency, Hohoi, which we are going to take back. All the 17 constituencies remain formidably NDC and strongly behind the former president. We have declared full support as a region, from the regional executives, constituency executives, the MPs caucus of the Volta caucus in Parliament.
Of people who are now part of his campaign team contest him. That was in 2019, build up to 2020 elections. And he crossed the 90% mark. This time around, what are the expectations? Will he still make the 90%?
Away from Sokode in the Volta region, I'll take you to the Ashanti region, where ahead of the presidential primaries of the New Patriotic Party, the Asantehene Otumfo Say to the second is entreating delegates to make a choice that will be widely accepted by Ghanaians as deserving to be president. By this, the Asantehene believes the party would place the national interest above parochial and partisan posture. He says the NPP should make a choice competent enough to serve as president. Nana Ojima has more in the following report.
NPP flag bearer aspirant Francis Adenimo, in the company of his campaign team and supporters, paid a courtesy call on the Asantehene at Menchia Palace. The visit was to make clear his intentions of contesting the NPP's flag bearership. The Asantehene says, though the election is internal, it has an impact on the country as a whole. He wants aspirants to foster peace by running clean campaigns devoid of insults. Your party is electing a person who will eventually become president of the country, not just leader of the party. So you should elect someone who will be accepted by all Ghanaians. As you go, make sure your campaign is devoid of insults. The former member of parliament for Mampong constituency made his first attempt in NPP's flag bearer race in 2024. He came third among 7 contestants in the primaries. Mr. Adenimo was out of the government formed after the party won elections in 2016. For the reason he believes his candidature is needed to win the NPP power in 2024.
Why not? I need to put myself forward. And in 2014, yes, I wasn't successful. Qualitatively, I emerged as the best qualitatively, even though I didn't win quantitatively.
Adenimo ending Nanaya Jima's report, taking us out of the election headquarters now. And Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Al-Hassan S. Suhini, has expressed fear over the possible closure of schools in his constituency following the outbreak of measles and a shortage of vaccines in parts of the country. Reports suggest 3 essential vaccines against childhood killer diseases are lacking in hospitals nationwide, putting the lives of babies at risk. A 72 million CD released to the Ministry of Health for the purchase of these essential vaccines for babies cannot be accounted for. This is despite the confirmation by the National Health Insurance Authority that the last tranche of the money was paid in January this year. Oswald Isuamensa is NHI's Acting Corporate Affairs Director.
So these payments are actually released to the UNICEF, and between UNICEF and the Ministry of Health would make sure that the procurement of these vaccines are available. I can tell you that we did payments in June, October, November last year, and I think the last tranche must have been paid in January 2023.
My colleague Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson visited some of the health facilities and reports mothers were turned away because the vaccines were simply not available.
After a month, nursing mother Florence Kwabla is back to the vaccination center at the Adabaka Polyclinic with her baby girl, Gladys. Florence is here to get Gladys' weight checked and her vaccination shot. She recorded a healthy weight. However, the oral polio vaccine due her is still not available for her baby.
Worries me a lot because the first day we came, they said there's a shortage. So I asked them, is there any available at any hospital? But they said there's still shortage at some of the polyclinics and hospitals.
Another worried mother is Gifty Odonko. Her 4-month-old baby Inshira has also not received the polio and the rotavirus vaccines.
I'm told there is no polio vaccine, so we'd have to return without the shot. It could expose her to diseases.
Well, that's my colleague Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson's report. The Health Committee of Parliament's request for the Minister of Health to appear before it to answer questions about the disturbing trend on Tuesday was also not honoured. By speaking to Joy News after making a statement on the floor, Alhassan Sweeney described the situation as regrettable.
We do not have the essential vaccines, and we are, seeing a retrogression in the gains that we have made over the years as far as the eradication of measles is concerned. A couple of months ago, the Tamale Central Hospital had to shut down the pediatric unit because of the outbreak of measles. And if care is not taken and this addressed aggressively, we may see the shutting down of schools, very soon. Because these children do not even know how to observe some of the hygienic things that they are supposed to observe in order to limit the spread of measles.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service has assured the country will take delivery of some of the vaccines in the next 2 weeks. But ranking member on the Health Committee, Kwabena Mintah Kando, insists the Ghana Health Service must account for the money.
Government has been negligent. You don't understand what actually the ministry, the officials at the Ministry of Health are doing. You invite them and they are not able to convince you. So we have asked them to go back because the reasons they advanced before us are untenable, and so they should go and get back to us properly.
We can now hear from a former head of Child Health Unit, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Professor Janet Nikwe, talking about the implications for the shortage of vaccines.
Yes, the child can survive. It's important that those who haven't had it at the right time would catch up afterwards. This is going to place a load on the public health nurses because they will have multiple doses to give, which they should have given them at the right time. Yes. But no, it's not going to cause any immediate deaths apart from the measles one. Presumably, some of those deaths were before the shortage, and that means that perhaps mothers up there are not going for their immunizations. And if you make it difficult for people, then the dropout rate will become higher, and therefore these diseases will spread.
Health sector for quite a while, and I need to ask you whether for mothers who are currently facing that challenge, and I'll show you a story we did today in some of the facilities where mothers were turned away. Are there any alternatives?
No, there are no alternatives. We've become used to having these vaccines available, and the system has been running really well. So I really don't understand why this has happened.
No problem for you.
I think it's very serious, and I hope everything is done to fix the problem. The diseases that affect also young babies, you haven't talked about, but the diphtheria vaccine and also the whooping cough vaccine is very important to get those at the right time, because if a young child aged below, say, 6 months gets whooping cough, it can cause death. Whooping cough is a very serious infection.
That's Professor Janet Nikwe, is a former head, Child Health Unit, Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We can move on to Parliament now. A majority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, says the NDC's opposition to the Electoral Commission's proposed constitutional instrument is built on falsehood and has no basis. The NDC and its caucus in Parliament say they are opposed to a new ECCI, which makes the Ghana card the sole identity document to register as a voter. Addressing journalists in Parliament, the Swami legislator argued that the NDC has always been opposed to every single improvement to Ghana's electoral system.
Ghana card is the one that is going to guarantee continuous registration. The new CI is the one that is going to guarantee continuous registration. So colleagues, let nobody throw dust in the eyes of Ghanaians, because what they are engaged in is selling palpable untruth. Let's not forget that when anytime improvement is coming into the system, migrating from opaque boxes to transparent boxes, from thumb-printed ballot ID cards to picture ID card, migrating from black and white to colored, migrating from the picture ID card being restricted to only cities, to the rural areas, and now the introduction of biometrics. Every single one of them has been opposed by the NDC. Why? What explains this? What explains this? That anytime we want to improve the system, to sanitize the system, the Electoral Commission is saying that they admit that their own system is not foolproof. This is a much robust system, and so we want to, as the law provides, align ourselves so that moving forward, we sanitize the system and also ensure that the fraud in the system would be eliminated so that any winner in any election certainly would be appreciated.
That's the majority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News, brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. When we return, we have sports, and then also we'll take you to the Princess town of Akaseche in the Western region to meet the priest who communicates with crocodiles, and also when exactly to expect another hit song from musician Gas Miller.
For me, I don't feel limited at all. I just feel that it's just a matter of time, and I just have to keep on doing what I know how to do best. And definitely I'll strike gold again.
3 points. She figures say I take it 3 points.
Keys. What could be simpler than a key? Who doesn't have a key? A car key, an office key, a drawer key. But there's one key that rules them all. The house key. The key to a place we call home. The key to the home where everything comes together. The key to a home that is our own. A home where we make life happen with our families and loved ones. Adoha has been working hard for over 30 years to make home ownership within reach for many. Say yes to property with Adoha. Your dream home is one call away. Your dream home is a few clicks away. Visit our Accra project, The Place, by calling 030-2789-757.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's do sports now. Mubarak, take us away.
Thank you very much, Emefa. Now, barely 5 months in his appointment as House of Oak head coach, fans seem to be running out of patience with Slavko Matic and have vowed to ensure he's no longer at the club before Sunday's super clash against House of Oak, against Asante Kotoko actually. Now, the Phobians have endured a torrid run of form in recent games, winning 1 of their last 6. They now sit out of the top 5 and 8 points behind league leaders Ediana FC with 15 matches left to play. Now, supporters of the club want Matic sacked. Here's their communications director, Kobe Jones.
So, I mean, some of the supporters, some section of the supporters, which of course I support them because I believe the coach is not doing well. That is what we want to do. If the management will not prevent him, they will not take him there out from being on the touchline. We will resist this because we believe he will not help us, and we'll do that.
And how do you intend on ensuring he's not there?
So don't worry. When we get to the bridge, we'll cross it.
Okay, Kobe Jones speaking to my colleague Mishayo Kweno. That's your spot.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. Now, let's go on to some other stories. This afternoon, residents and commuters along the Tema Highway are calling for the removal of heavy trucks that have turned the Tema toll booth area into a parking lot, obstructing the free flow of traffic. Some of the residents say they have observed an increase in road crashes at that spot, but the drivers are blaming the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority for failing to provide them an appropriate place to park while they wait for documentation for their cargo. Michael Ashale has more in the following report.
Heavy-duty trucks line up the shoulders of the highway, running as far as the eye can see. According to some of the drivers, they have no option than to park here while they wait for documentation for their cargo. Akwesi Techi is one of such drivers.
In the port, if you load, there is no place for you to park again, and our people too haven't ready yet.
Their presence here only exposes many motorists to untold danger, and some of the truck drivers even agree.
We know that we are disturbing, but we don't have any option.
While parked there, some drivers say they are harassed by some city authorities. Al Hassan Tahiru is a victim.
Just yesterday, they come. I wasn't inside the car. They just come and open my gate and they took my key.
But not everyone agrees with the drivers.
If they're not parked there, it's good because that place is causing big accidents.
He only gave his name as Nathaniel. He observed that the number of accidents around the toll booths have increased since the trucks started parking there.
People was die here is plenty people because of this parking of the drivers. Let's give him another place to go and park. Almost about 90 people are dying here.
That's Michael Ashale's report. Now, pollutants from wastewater treatment plants in Ghana are released into water bodies and the environment due to poor knowledge about recycling treatment technologies. In a bid to curb this, the Regional Water and Environmental Sanitation Center, Kumasi, at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and Sewage Systems Ghana Limited, are using activated charcoal from feces to purify wastewater. There's more in this report.
The study sought to evaluate the performance of a new material called fecal/derived activated charcoal for wastewater pollutant removal. For the study, the dewatered fecal sludge was dried on a sun-drying bed for 3 months. The dried fecal sludge was used to produce activated charcoal, which was then used to purify the wastewater. The results showed high removal efficiency of pollutants and a decrease in the muddiness, the smell, color, among others, of the wastewater. The filtered water was even clearer than the lab tap water used as a comparison. Engineer Ahmed Isaku.
One good thing about this novelty is the char can be used even in reclamation of polluted lands resulting from illegal mining.
Isahaku there speaking to my colleague Kwesi Debra for Tech Thursday. And when you think Crocodile Pond, what comes to mind? Did I hear you say Paga? Well, you got it right. But what if I told you that there were crocodiles in Western Region too? So if you're unable to travel all the way to Paga, you could take a quick drive to the princess town of Akatechi, not just to see crocodiles, but also to encounter a priest who communicates with them. Kudu Yang Singh has more for our Ghana Man series.
If someone asked you, what are Ghana's top tourist attractions? What would come to mind? Some historical buildings, wildlife, some water bodies, beaches? Now, what if I told you there was a place in Ghana, a village, where you would find at least one of each of these attractions? Well, nestled on the western coast, just 45 minutes from Takoradi, is Princess Town. 5 kilometers to the west is the seaside village of Aketechi.
The fishing village of Aketechi is very lucky. They occupy a beautiful spot in nature. This is where the lagoon meets the sea. The people of Aketechi, like many other Ghanaians, they have their beliefs. They believe that the lagoon is a holy deity which must be respected. Today we want to go close to the lagoon, see if we can spot a crocodile or two. But it's not so simple. In addition to a bottle of Coke and a bottle of Casapreco and a bottle of schnapps, we may also have to part with a few cedis before we are allowed to come close to their revered deity.
a thick film of seaweed covers the surface of the water. It's hard to tell whether there's any living creature stirring in the deep, let alone one that is responding to the loud calls of the priest. But suddenly, there she is.
After that encounter with those beautiful creatures, I'm sure you're yearning for some music from musician Gas Miller and wondering when exactly the next hit will come. He's been speaking to Andy Dusty on Daybreak Hits earlier today.
Are we gonna get big songs like these again?
Yeah, way bigger songs.
Really?
Brandy, I think of myself as the newest artist of the year. I don't think I've arrived. I don't think I've done anything yet. I keep telling people I've not even scratched the surface of my talent yet. You know, so for me, I believe that bigger songs will come. But it's just a matter of time.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Health Minister should have been fired by now. Send Ghana on child immunization vaccine shortage. Also, MP fears measles outbreak will force schools closure in Tamale North. And we also have a playback of Mahama launching NDC flag bearership campaign in Sokode. Egbe Yawada, Bejogbe Nuina Mikata Akbe. We have Living Word with Pastor Men Saltable up next.
If home is where the heart is,